Wheel, and now it says we're live. Here we go. JB, how you doing, man?
I am doing very good, Steve. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming and being here with me today. Now, everything everywhere says JB. It's JB at Domotz.com. Jamie is on JB is on the website, on LinkedIn. Is that what your parents named you? Is JB? That's
It was definitely John, right? John
okay.
Braden. Yeah. So
Okay.
the it was interesting story, right? JB, my parents started calling me JB from really when I was born or 1 year old. I don't know when I could start communicating all the way up until kindergarten. And then our kindergarten teacher that I had, which God knows this was many years ago, said he can't learn to write his name as JB. You need to give him his first name. And so from then on, throughout college, right, I was known as John, right, and I became John. When I started working in industry, I worked at Texas Instruments, and it was really funny. There were in my group just happened to be about five different Johns, and so I'm like, okay, I'll go back to JB. And so
Since
my,
then.
yeah, since then my career has been JB.
That's really cool. All right. I wish I had a cool nickname. Like, people just call me mean things like asshole and dickhead. So, like,
I've had that before. It's usually from my wife, but yeah.
well, the most. So here's a fun story. I haven't told this one in a long time. So, people that are newer to watching or listening, you're in for a roller coaster ride, and then we'll get back to Domotz. I'm sorry, guys. So, back when I started doing these webinars, I was just having fun. Okay, I was inviting internet buddies of mine who were also MSPs or IT guys, PC repair guys, whoever. I didn't care.
Yeah.
We're all just having fun. So in my pursuit of having fun, I don't even know what app I was using, but it would put like this little teddy bear down in the bottom corner. Like it had the ability to put like I don't know, like let's call them borders and cartoons and stuff. I'm like, hey, this is the most ridiculous looking one. I'll just put this in the corner. I didn't realize what this was going to turn into, right? So if you watch like some of the earliest videos, there's this weird little teddy bear. It's like a white and pink teddy bear down in the bottom corner of some of these videos, and I thought nothing of it. I'm just having fun, right? And then one day on Reddit, somebody sends me a private message, and no one will ever tell me if it was one of my buddies screwing with me or not.
You know
But
it
I,
was.
but I get, but I get a private message, and it says, "Hey, so I just thought I'd ask, are you a bear? Because I'm a bear, and I would just love to know that there are other MSPs out there that are bears too."
What the hell does that mean? What does that mean? I don't.
Apparently, uh, I don't know the right way to say this. I'm not trying to be insensitive, but apparently a bear is like a gay or homosexual, like a gay man who's like big and burly and hairy or something. I don't know.
Oh, all
Honestly,
right.
I never really looked it up. We had a good laugh. I knew that's what it was, and
I
I
love it.
never to this day I'll never know, was that somebody screwing with me, or did somebody legitimately want to know, like, is Steve gay? I'm not gay. I've got a wife. I've got two kids. We adopted them, so that doesn't really help. Uh,
That's funny. That's funny. That's so funny that somebody made that reference and that you had this bear. I mean, I was like, yeah, you're a good teddy bear, right? You could give a
yeah,
good. I'm sure.
my
Why not?
my wife calls me your big teddy bear. Like, what? I don't see the
Yeah.
problem. No, I'm not that. Apparently, not that kind. So I'm sorry if that sounded insensitive. I promise I don't mean it that way, guys. I just wanted to have a good laugh. We can all have a good laugh, right?
Absolutely. I'm all for good laughs.
And can I say this? I don't care, what your political affiliation or religion or whatever. I think we can all agree that those arms are just so hard to snap into the little Lego bodies, right? Like,
It is. Yes, yes. I have gosh, what are their age now? A 15-year-old and a 13-year-old. And they've finally gotten, probably within the last 2 years, finally gotten out of the whole Lego stage. But I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many Legos we built and how many conversations we've had around, okay, this person, male, female, we're just not sure. And it just didn't matter, right? Is the
They're
space
really
guy female?
they're they're
Absolutely.
little
You
Lego
want it?
bodies. Who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
They
So,
they haven't decided what they are yet. So
well, I'm thinking actually now I need to find a little logo that I can put in the bottom of my videos, whether I'm doing Zoom or Skype or whatever, just to cause the conversation to happen, you know?
well, I mean, I caused a conversation to happen. I mean, you could put a rainbow flag down in the bottom corner of yours. I mean, who knows?
Why why not? I
Why
love
not?
it.
So, all right, let's get back on the rails here. So JB, talk to me, man. So you said Texas Instruments. That sounds intriguing.
Yeah.
And now you're with Domotz. And I remember several years ago, I looked at Domotz. I
Yeah.
don't know. Was it you that I was with? I looked at it with a group of people privately, not in a live setting like this, and
Yeah.
I think kind of the overall feel of the software was this is for
Yeah.
like AV integrators, and and like I said, it's been a few years. I haven't
Yeah.
played with it since then. But you guys were like, no, we really we want to start working with MSPs. I'm like, that's great,
Yeah.
but MSPs don't install DIN and receivers, like, so
Right. So why are
so
you putting
yeah,
Yeah.
so why are you here?
So it's great. Okay, I love it. Yeah. Why am I talking to you? Why am I wasting my time? You're not wasting time, Steve. So the I will say Domotz started in 2015. Okay, we really launched into the market in 2016. Um, the idea behind Domotz was how can we take and create a tool for the network? How can we become a network monitoring tool that anybody can use?
Okay.
Really, the initial goal of the founders were they started looking at it was all like, okay, how can we sell this and get a useful tool out there? And they started looking at the residential market. There was a high need in the residential space for um, integrators or DIY people that are the technicians or the IT department of their homes and their family to be able to solve problems on the network when things fall off the network, right? When they go down. And how could they do that remotely in a secure way? You know, as IT guys, right, as nerds in this space, we know we can do VPNs. That technology has been around for a heck of a long time. But we needed a way to remove or abstract all of the complexities associated with that and make it so the IT guy in the home, even though he's not, Cisco certified networking guy, can actually make a difference for their family and friends. That's where it started out. This is a public information. The story goes kind of like this. We started out at CES. The very first customer that we ended up really getting was Best Buy. So Best Buy saw the tool that we had. It was really their Magnolia team. They do home theater installs, home automation systems. They latched on to what we had, and they saw it as a tool that could really help their business grow and how they can turn their, mortar and brick stores into more of a service model. And so they latched onto Domotz. That actually drove us down a path, right? As a startup company, you look at those new customers and you're like, okay, what do you need? Let me solve your problems. And it really drove us down this path of audio video. What we found with this is that great market, right? This CEDIA channel, as they call it. So custom integrations or an installation group. They had a great need for the tool that we had, and it worked really well, and it was an awesome market for us. Since then, we I'm going to say discovered, right, this managed service provider space, this IT world, and we realized that they have some huge needs, which is, first of all, everybody's using traditional RMM tools, the SolarWinds, the ConnectWise, the Datos, the Kaseya's, right? There's a bunch of them out there. Those guys do a really good job of managing PCs, laptops, servers, antivirus that goes onto these things, version controlling of Windows, and all that fun stuff. What they don't know, what MSPs don't realize, is what else is on the network. Unless you're utilizing a tool that deals with network infrastructure, or you're dealing with a tool like ours that helps you discover all of the other IoT devices out there. And by the way, IoT, I kind of hate that term. We use it on our website, but the Internet of Things is an overused term, almost a cliche now. But the reality is that people are bringing devices into the office, into their work environments, into their homes, not even realizing that it's connecting to the network. And I think it's giving service providers as well as IT departments headaches, right? IP addresses are being consumed, bandwidth is being consumed. Service providers needed a way to deal with that. Bringing Domotz in, bringing our discovery technology in, our mapping technology has just been a way in which we think service providers can not only increase revenues, but also benefits from it.
Interesting.
That was a long way of answering that question, wasn't it, Steve?
Yeah, but it answered it. So, all right. So, Magnolia, they were your first customer. Are they still a customer?
They are.
Okay.
Yep.
So
they monitor thousands of networks.
I've got to say, regardless of what people think, the fact that you guys have Best Buy as a client, that's impressive. Okay, so I'll give you points for that. So you talk about network monitoring, and you say people are using your RMM tools, and MSPs have a need. I struggle with that statement. Not because I don't think you're a bad guy or anything, but I don't know that MSPs have a need. There's tons of tools out there already. Mm-hmm. So I've been pronouncing it wrong the whole time. Why Domotz? And what the heck does Domotz even mean? What is
that question generally comes up at some point in a conversation, whether it's with a client or a customer or another vendor. Domotz, the name itself, first of all, it comes from our founder, our key founder. He's Italian. His name is Domenico. So DOM, right? It was part of his first name. OT and Z are actually the first letters of his children's name. The interesting thing about Domotz, right? Domotica is an Italian term that typically means home automation. So it was rather fitting for us to leverage that type of name or nomenclature for our product. It also is a conversation piece for us many, many times.
Okay. All right.
So you're saying that MSPs may not have a need for a product like ours, or Domotz, probably more specifically.
So yeah, and it's not because they don't need a product like yours. I'm saying with all of the other networking products that are out there, why do they need yours?
That right there is I think a really good question, and that boils down to how do we differentiate from others that are out there. Domotz built discovery mechanisms and what I would call cataloging mechanisms to improve the device discovery. Domotz does layer 2 or ARP requests to find out all the MAC addresses that are on the LAN or VLAN that you're dealing with. VLANs are a layer 2 technology. We scan that network or multiple networks that we're on. We bring back all the MAC addresses, but what's so powerful about Domotz is that we will take those MAC addresses and then enrich them We will tell you make, model, and what I think is even more important, especially in this quote unquote IoT world that we're in, we'll tell you the type of device. We'll tell you whether that's a security camera. We'll tell you whether that's an automation system. We'll tell you whether it's a unified communication system. The reason that this becomes valuable compared to the tools that they have today is if you're trying to assess a job that you're walking into, or if you're trying to figure out what's changed in a network that you're already managing, knowing when new devices come in and what they are helps you better understand how you as a service provider need to manage your customers. And you know what you're walking into or dealing with if you're assessing a job. I think there's a lot of value in that portion of Domotz. When it comes
Okay.
to remote connectivity, when it comes to the alerting and monitoring, when it comes to the managing of those devices, we also have a lot of features there that I think service providers can take advantage of.
So, and I wish I knew like the network monitoring products better, because I know there are products out there like Alvik,
Mhm.
huge with MSPs. I would consider them a network monitoring and management tool. And then there are other tools out there like PRTG. SolarWinds has several. Zabbix, I think, is one. Nagios. I mean, there's just the list goes on. I think it's safe to say there's a lot of them out there. And then there's also Ninja RMM. They've
Mhm.
got they've got a really, from what I'm told, fantastic network monitoring and management tool built into theirs. So for the guys that haven't really looked at all of them and really tried to compare the apples to oranges to cherries to rocks, what where in your opinion does your product fit in uh, with these other products? Do you, again, this is your opinion, so I don't know. I'm not going to tell you you're not going to get sued, but I'd like to say that it's an opinion and not a fact. So
Sure. Look, the names you rattled off there are all very good, and in certain aspects, some of them are more competitive with us than others. Okay,
okay,
you look at Zabbix, you look at Nagios, great solutions. You do need to be pretty damn savvy to be able to leverage those tools to the fullest extent, right? And I say that to your point about opinions, right? I say that in comparison when you look at our user interface, when you look at how we've structured our knock view, how we've looked at our tiles that dive down into each structure. The other thing I'll say is we're a very multi-tenant view type of tool from a SaaS-based perspective. Speaking of that, we are a SaaS, right? We're a software as a service that's cloud-based. When you start dealing with PRTG, Zabbix, Nagios, some of those much more on-site, right? You can even look at guys like Logic Monitor. Your comparison of Avik is a very astute and good one, right? I think if you look at the features, if you look at the dashboarding that's being done, I'd say that Avik and Domotz are very similar by comparison. Avik, when they first started out in 2010 timeframe, I think they took a very strong focus on MSPs and IT departments. I think their relationships with the big players, right? The ConnectWises, the Datos, the SolarWinds of the world, the integrations that they did. They had an 8-year head start on us with respect to that.
got it. Okay,
We now have a lot of the integrations that are needed, right, to integrate with these tools. We have the discovery mechanisms. We have a database of really over 30 billion IoT devices. What does that mean, right? When I say that, it means that we have intelligence within our cloud that when we discover a MAC address on the network, we have a very, very high probability of being able to classify that MAC address by make, model, and type. And it's because of a partnership that we have with a company, call it a sister company, if you will, of Fing. I don't know if you're familiar with Fing and what Fing does, but we've taken advantage of a lot of the discovery mechanisms that they have in order to help build out this architecture.
Are you
That's a
saying
big differentiator.
are you saying FING?
I am indeed. Yep. They're a mobile app for Android and Apple. Right? They started about 10 years ago. They were essentially a layer two MAC address discovery utility. I'm sure that a lot of your listeners have used Fing, may even have it on their phone, but a lot of people use it. A lot of technicians use it to scan the network and then find an IP address of a particular device so that they can then log into its IP or the web page and manage it.
I'll have to look at this one because I've never heard of it. All right.
That's okay. It gets, just so you know, just for a little bit of insight, it's the number one network scanning tool used by mobile devices. It gets downloaded a million times, or it does, excuse me, it does a million scans a day. It does actually 100,000 or a couple 100,000 downloads every day. The interesting thing about it is it's a tool. So people will download it when they need it, and then they'll delete it, right? And then they'll download it again later. It's kind of funny.
So I'm going to download it, just sheer curiosity here. They have a desktop version as well.
They do.
Maybe so story time. No story for you. So I work from home. I've worked from home for years. I love working from home. I don't have a home office, as weird as that sounds. I had a home portion of a room, and that changed drastically with this whole COVID-19 nonsense. So once the kids were all sent home from school, my wife's a stay-at-home wife, so that was fine. I could, we could coexist. But once the kids got involved, I had to basically hide. I'm hiding right now. I'm in my bedroom. I've got a nice. It's a standing desk. You can tell I use it a lot, right? Got my. So anyway, gonna continue with story time. When I moved my desk, I left the networking equipment out in the center of the house, as I feel networking equipment belongs, and in the room I had very little bandwidth. Like, doing this was painful. I had to stop and reschedule one because we just couldn't keep a connection. It was embarrassing, to say the least. I don't have a huge house. We've got like a 1,300 square feet, single level. There's.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. I've got a really expensive. It's like a $300 some ASUS gaming router, because
Sure.
and before you guys mock me, I actually had great conversations with, like, Sophos and other, because I wanted to use the enterprise gear, and they were all like, yeah, so our stuff doesn't actually play all that nicely with all of these smart home gadgets a lot of people have at home. And I've got the Ring doorbell and the cameras and the I've got all this smart home stuff. I've got Alexa Echoes and, oh, shut up. And
Now you did it.
She's listening. And I've also got the Apple HomePods, and so we've just got smart home stuff out the wazoo. And I was using, like, the enterprise gear, and it just sucked. So I switched over to the ASUS, and everything just worked better. So I
have a question. Wait, I have a question for you on this.
Sure.
Everything that you were mentioning, I won't say her name because she'll, like, ask you for something. But
Oh, I've got headphones. You can say whatever you want.
Oh, that's right. Good point. I can say Alexa. So, but now everybody that's listening, all of their systems just went off.
That's
But
true.
the Wi-Fi devices, okay? you went to enterprise grade gear, I've got to ask, if you switched to Sophos or you went to some other firewall router mechanism that you considered enterprise, what did you do for Wi-Fi?
I also had their app access points, and then I
Okay.
tried Unify, and I tried several, and I did not have a great experience. So I ended up switching to, consumer gear. I'll come out and just admit I'm running
Yeah.
consumer gear. So now I'm running consumer gear. I moved into the bedroom, and in the bedroom my consumer gear wasn't able to reach. And again, I'm 30 feet, maybe 40. I don't
Yeah.
know. There's like a couple. There's a door,
So,
a wall, a router. Back when it was in there, so I had to move
yeah.
the router into the bedroom. But then nothing up in the front of the house would work. So then I got an Asus extender, and then
Oh,
so
God. Yeah.
things sort of worked,
Yeah.
but then it still wasn't working right. So then I'm like, all right, well now what? So someone said, why don't you get one of those power line Ethernet adapters? That way you can Ethernet the router to the extender. I did that, and
Yeah.
now I'm able to get roughly 30 megabits per second when I'm connected to the extender. When I get 330 when I'm here in the bedroom. So all that to say, I hate networking equipment, and I quit. So
So, you know, first of all, I hear what you're saying. I hope all your listeners know this. If you're using the ISP's router, okay, Comcast, even if you're using, I shouldn't, maybe this is where I get sued, but Xfinity, right, all those guys that claim gigabit, and even if you're using their router, it's simple to say that the processors that are in those are not high end,
no,
right?
they're not able.
They're driven
It's
by cost, and
yeah.
they can't handle more than, let's say, 15 to 20 wireless access wireless devices. It's just a fact. Upgrading to separate APs, right? Dealing with Ruckus, Ubiquity, Cisco Meraki, right? Those are going to give you such benefit compared to um, the standard ISPs, routers, and modem combos. Asus has done a really good job with respect to performance because they've taken a path towards gaming, right? Any of the gamers that are out there, they want that. They want that bandwidth, and we see that. I mean, Domotz, because of the industries that we're in, the residential as well as commercial markets, we get a lot of data on the types of equipment that are used. And because we do speed tests, right, we actually perform ISP speed tests within our UI, our user interface, and give that data back. We have a lot of data aggregated across the world around ISP performance and the equipment that's doing those. We get data between wireless access points in the router and the modems too. So
So I I'm currently kicking myself. So I remembered that I've got what I'm going to call a smaller ISP. The company name is Armstrong. So I don't have Comcast and Xfinity and all this other stuff. I don't even have. We don't even have what did Time Warner turn into? Are they Comcast?
I thought they went to Comcast.
I don't know. I don't have it. I have
Yeah.
Armstrong. Every city around me is Time Warner or whatever it is. I'm on
Yeah.
Armstrong. Armstrong's fantastic. So I forgot that Armstrong, instead of doing the cheapy Motorola or whatever, cost effective, right? Not they're no longer doing these cost effective modem router combos. They now
Mhm.
are using Plume. Are you familiar with this brand?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm kicking myself because I just spent, I don't know, $400 or whatever on a nice Amplify HD. It'll arrive tomorrow
Yeah.
because I'm sick of it. So should I just return the Amplify and tell Armstrong to give me the Plume?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I think the Amplify HD stuff is done pretty well. So I think you'll be pleased with it. But
But I
you know,
think the Plume is free.
Bloom. Yeah. Well, do what you need to do, Steve. All right, we'll leave it
Well,
at that.
well, no,
Right?
I'm asking the network monitoring guru here. You would stick to the Amplify instead of
And
using Plume,
look,
regardless of
look,
if you're paying for it or
if I
not.
had to, every service provider, every integrator, commercial or residential, they have an opinion. Okay, and
Well,
I'm
yeah, of
giving you
course.
my opinion based off of
Opinions are
what I
like assholes. Everyone has one. I know that.
got them right, and everyone's different, right? But the if it was me, right, I would be focused. And if you're primarily focused on wireless networking, I would be looking at Ruckus, right? I love Ruckus. I have Ruckus in my house. I had a different system, enterprise grade before, worked well, but I saw amazing differences when I went to Ruckus. And the way now, if I get to where I'm demonstrating our system and I show you kind of my house and what I have on it, it's kind of crazy. I mean, I've got three different wireless access points, all wired back to multiple switches. But the way they do meshing across the network and stuff is just incredible. The other thing that's so important is beam forming. The way that they do beam forming with their technology to focus on the wireless device that they are looking at is amazing. Amplify HD, if I'm not mistaken, if it's the same system I'm thinking about, they do great mesh networking, right? But you're still leveraging the backbone, right? They need another channel on those devices in order to do the two-way communications and the meshing. That naturally brings down your available bandwidth for wireless devices,
Ah.
but it gives you coverage.
So I actually learned quite a bit about wireless today. I never really cared to look into how like the wireless channels and whatnot worked. I never realized that, if we're going to talk specifically about like the 5 gigahertz model, that when it's asking you what you want your frequency width to be, it's asking how many channels do you want to eat up? And for all of my neighbors that just, you know,
Yeah.
just leave it on default settings, they're eating up 4 to 8 channels.
Yeah. Well, keep in mind, right? More enterprise grade systems. Again, I'll speak to Ruckus since I'm
Sure.
intimate with those guys. Right? They will actually look at the bands that are out there, and they will do dynamic switching for you. Right? They'll go back and say, okay, this band is becoming crowded. We're going to make an overall switch, and when a new lease comes up, right, the devices will switch over.
And I was just about to ask that because whenever it changes the band, it kicks people off.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
it's one onesie twosie kind of. It's almost running multiple frequencies, like because
It
it's got
does.
so many antennas, it'll kind of start daisy chaining and moving people over slowly. It sounds like.
Yeah, yeah. As
Hmm.
far as I know, I mean, they're the engineers behind it, but it's incredible how it works.
Hmm.
Right? It's really good stuff.
I'll have to look
We
into that.
inside of Domotz, when we look at some of these advanced wireless access points, the data that I mean, we're only showing data that they present to us,
Sure.
but you can see all the available channels that are there. You can see the noise floor of the particular radios that you're on. I mean, it's really good stuff.
Hmm. Okay. So, your tool here. I'm going to open up your
Are you calling me
website.
a tool? Are you calling me a tool, Steve?
No,
Or
no,
no?
no. I'm talking about your tool,
Oh,
which
Domotz.
doesn't sound any better
That doesn't
without
sound
context.
appropriate. Yeah.
So another thing that I vaguely recall with Domotz is that we had to have uh, an appliance to run it. Is it still that way?
Yes. So
Although
I love using this term. I
I
love
think
to.
Avik has to have an appliance too. So I mean,
So they both Avik and us need to have a piece of software that resides on the network that is, think of it as a collector or an aggregator.
sure.
Um, Domotz, and this is where I think it's so funny. Domotz calls it an agent. That is a massive pitcher of water you got there.
It
It is
is.
water, right? Or is it vodka?
It, it's water
Oh, okay.
today.
All right.
This time.
Okay. So We have this thing, we call it an agent. I find it
Sure.
humorous because we consider ourselves an agentless system, right? Most service providers will think of an agent as something that sits on every PC, laptop, or server that needs to be monitored. We require, just like Aavik does, one agent, call it a collector, that resides on the network, that is scanning that network and looking for changes on that network. To your point about an appliance, in order to help make it easier, in order to make it easier for service providers and integrators to deploy that software, we did create this little appliance. It's a little black box. It's available on Best Buy that you can purchase for $99. You can simply install that device, right, that black box, log into its web page, put in your credentials, and then it gets to work for you, right? It does everything automatically. If you would rather not pay that $99, you absolutely can get on our website, download a Windows executable and run it on a Windows machine or a server. If you're a fan of Linux, right, grab the Linux version, grab a Debian package. If you love Raspberry Pis, go grab the software for a Raspberry Pi and put it on a Raspberry Pi. We don't care, right? Our goal, right? I mean, we're $19 a month for this agent, right, to be utilizing collecting data. That's where we make our money. We try to make it easy for you guys to install that agent in any way possible.
So I just want to clarify on that pricing.
Mm-hmm.
$19 a month per agent or per network device we're tracking?
No, shame on you for like comparing us to Aavik. I see what you're saying there. So $19 per agent. Okay.
Wow.
That's an unlimited number of devices. It doesn't matter whether you have one switch or 50 switches in the system. We are a per agent system. With that one agent, if you look at our website, we have our pricing is exposed. You can see it there. The $19, we say $19 per month per site. So what a site is to us can be anywhere that you are wanting to scan layer 2 MAC addresses. Okay. So if you have a building that has, multiple switches, even multiple networks, as long as you can provide layer 2 access to that Domotz agent through trunking of ports or VLANs, then you're paying $19 a month for that device.
So for the frugal MSP that wants to set up an agent at their office and then just set up VPN tunnels to all their clients, they could theoretically do all of that with a single agent.
VPNs. So VPNs are typically a layer 3 technology, right? So you're IP addresses, right? So now let me clarify. Domotz absolutely can look across subnets, right? Layer 3. We can scan the network, but here's the difference. If you remember when I said at the beginning, when we do ARP requests and get back all the MAC addresses, that's where we enrich the data. If you're doing layer 3 scans, the only thing you're getting are IP addresses. So you have to know what those devices are when you do a scan at a layer 3 level. There are definitely technologies that allow you to do layer 2 over VPNs, right? And in those situations, you absolutely can use Domotz for that and scan across sites.
Okay.
It's typically not worth the trouble, right? We're so low cost anyway at $19, right, per site. It's easier just to put on multiple agents.
And I would like to think that it just is easier and makes more sense to just deploy some more agents. So can that agent be deployed onto an existing device?
When you say existing device,
Like,
what do you
for
mean
example, we have a server that maybe it's just a print server, and I wouldn't mind just tossing some software on that to do this.
Oh, absolutely. No, that's very possible. Yeah. I understand that. I wanted that clarity. A lot of times when people use the device, they may be thinking about an an IoT or an embedded system, but that's always a challenge. But when you're thinking about servers, right? When you're thinking
Right.
about extra machines, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. And if you want to put it in a virtual machine, right, within one of those, so it kind of keeps things separated, absolutely.
So, and it's okay if it's an existing machine and it's already got Windows. I don't need to like blow it away to set up Domotz. I can just
No,
install
no,
it
no.
as just any other application would be installed.
We have a native executable for Windows. Yep.
Wonderful. Okay.
Easy install, super easy. Yeah.
So, talk to me about um, some of the more interesting things people have done because of Domotz. Like
Ah,
give me a weird one.
you know what? What we thought was interesting. Um, Cannabis has gotten to be widely recognized now, right? There's all sorts of states that are dealing with this. They're heavily regulated, heavily regulated. The thing that was most fascinating. Are you getting tired, Steve?
No, I'm dehydrated is my problem.
You have such a massive pitcher of water.
I
How have
know,
you
and
not?
I haven't been drinking it all day. That's
Okay, okay. Well, that's the problem.
that's the
That's
problem. So I'm like, oh
got my
crap,
little
I'm like super
Kirkland in here.
yeah, I'm like super dehydrated. I'm like, oh crap. So I just finally went and got some ice and filled my pitcher like 5 minutes before we got on this call. So I'm sorry.
Wait, you gotta hold on. You gotta lift up that cup too. I see a moose with like ducks following it. What's the basis behind that? And then we'll get on this. Okay,
Yeah,
Dad. Yeah,
it's I'm just the moose apparently. I don't I
towing
just
around the ducks.
and earlier when you said that is a massive pitcher, it's my Brita. I like this one. It's the Brita Stream because it filters as it pours out, so you can fill it up as fast as your faucet pours in.
Oh, that's impressive.
Yeah,
That is
I
actually
like this
impressive.
one.
Yeah. Um, what were we talking about before I got distracted by this
You were
whole?
talking about smoking doobies, I believe.
Yes, that's right. Cannabis. Thank you very much. So, yeah, the weed, exactly. So, one of the most interesting industries that came out of Domotz, right, really surprised us. Uh, Guy in California, Luis Alvarez, Alvarez Technology, right? He's like, hey, this is actually really interesting what you guys are doing. Can I do this? Right? And what it was is he in California where it's heavily regulated, he's got cannabis customers that he was doing PC servers, the network, the works with it. But he said, I have a problem where, or they have a problem where we have all these security cameras that are running on my network, and occasionally one will go offline, and we don't know what to do with it. So, in talking with him, we said, well, leveraging Domotz, right? We're going to scan all these cameras, we're going to see them, but are you aware that you can also power cycle these, right? 85% of the time, 90% of the time, you actually can get a camera back online simply by power cycling it because it got in a weird state or whatever.
So to clarify, you're power cycling a camera because even though it appears offline, it's still online and manageable
Uh,
through.
no, no. Actually, what often happens is this is what's interesting. Cameras, the way they build cameras is, and that was part of my days at TI when I was dealing with this stuff and video over IP. Um, Cameras, there's a couple parts to a camera. There's the sensor, there's the mechanicals with the lens and everything, and then there's the network interface card. The network interface often will be it will be pinging, right? You can ping to it because it's got third-party software, its own software being able to respond to ICMP requests.
Mhm.
But the camera itself, right? The software that's encoding the video will um, will stop for whatever reason. Okay.
Ah.
So what a service provider and integrator will do is they'll simply power cycle at the PoE port, right? The camera, and cut power to everything and then bring it back up. The camera reboots, you may lose 45 seconds, a minute worth of video from that
Mhm.
point, but the system come back online and it's now streaming. Okay. Domotz provides the ability within our user interface and within our APIs, right, our publicly available APIs, to power cycle things like that.
That's really
So
cool.
Lewis was intrigued by this, but then we took it a step further and we showed him our ability to actually capture video, right, or show the video or an image from the cameras that are being streamed. So what Lewis does with this is for all of his customers, he will give them a report on a regular basis that shows the camera is not only online, but here's a current snapshot from it. And he automatically generates reports with that. That to me was one of the most fascinating ways of using Domotz. And here's the real kicker behind it. And I want to say I'm kicking myself for not focusing on an industry like that. We charge Lewis $19 a month for that customer. He charges them $2,400 per month.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Ridiculous amount of margins. And him using Domotz, it's completely automated for him. So it's genius.
That is
really he's probably back there smoking some of his clients' weed, right, while he's doing all this. So
what state is he in? California?
California. He is in California.
So he could be smoking some of his clients' weed.
He could be. Yeah.
Here in Ohio, where I'm at, it is medical only. So
That's going to change. These states are making way too much money off of taxes not allow it to go through.
Oh, absolutely.
Liberal or conservative, either way, right? It's going to happen.
Yeah, I have no doubt in my mind about that. I think the thing that's really going to help is when federally they do it.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
I think federally they're going to want to start taking a cut of this, which I think will be will be interesting because I don't know how much states are taxing it. Not my thing. So
they tax it a lot. I mean, Colorado is amazing, and it's public information about how much they make off of that. I'm in Utah, so okay. I'm surrounded by the western states that have it, as well as Colorado on my east side, and yeah, it's crazy how much money they make on that. It causes its own set of problems, of course, right? Just like alcohol did in the 20s, right? Just like smoking did in the 50s, 60s, 70s, but there's opportunities within these problems, right? And that's what I think service providers should be thinking about. And to the very beginning, when we talked about why a tool like Domotz is valuable, when you look at some of the integrations that we do with audio video equipment, especially things like security cameras, and bringing forth some of these features, especially even thinking about things like digital signage, we provide a tool that differentiates from others that are out there. And it's so stupid cheap. Why wouldn't you deploy it on every job site you do?
Okay, I can get on board with that. So you are. Let me give you my interpretation of what I'm hearing. That way I can make this a little easier for MSPs to digest.
Sure.
All right, so you've got Avik, and Avik's great, and it's backing up your firewalls and switches and whatever every day for you, and you're just happy with it. But I don't think Avik is doing anything with cameras and digital signage. I just don't know. Are you aware of anything?
I think they can see the devices that are out there.
But they might not be doing the level of service that you are providing.
They don't have the level of integration, as far as I know, with that.
So maybe you stick with Avik for now, and you get Domotz, you check it out, you deploy it at a client where maybe you've installed some cameras, and you say, hey, I want to try out this product. Let me deploy this. I'll provide you 3 months or 6 months of free service. You'll be my guinea pig. if that's okay with you, Mr. Customer. And I'm going to provide you all of this, and I'm going to learn how this thing works while I'm, doing this for you. And if I feel like this thing doesn't suck, and if you feel like there's value in continuing to get this service after said time is complete, we'll talk further.
Yep.
That seems reasonable to me. It seems easier for me to tell people I'm not telling you to get rid of your PRTG, your AVIC, your logic monitor, whatever, but it doesn't hurt to check this out, because I do know quite a few MSPs that are installing cameras, that are doing digital signage. And while, in my opinion, I don't want anything to do with that stuff, because I'd rather just have a camera expert handle it for me, some MSPs are absolutely comfortable, picking out the hardware, installing, training, setting, all that. Some MSPs are absolutely comfortable doing that, and that's fine. And for those MSPs, I think what you just listed is a really flippin' cool service to provide. That is a ton of value for an MSP to be able to provide to their customers. And that's just the one thing you talked about. I'm sure there's more cool things.
Well, Steve, yeah, exactly. I mean, we do configuration backups as well, right? And some of those neat features. When it comes to another cool feature, just I'll mention this, and then I want to touch on a point on why I mentioned these features. Digital signage, right? Typically, in a digital signage world, you have video encoders and you have video decoders, one at each display, right? The encoders may be connected to a PC, it may be connected to an Apple TV, it may be connected to Dish Network or cable boxes or whatever. Those devices now and more are network connected, right? Being able to monitor those things and know which encoders are communicating with which decoders is a pretty cool thing that we do. We actually show a topology, a graph that says these encoders are actively communicating with these decoders right now. When you put in combination the source of video, right, which is IP connected, the encoder that's IP connected, the network infrastructure, right, the decoder, and the display, which is probably a smart TV that's IP connected, right? All of those things, right, that chain of events from source to sink, as they say, has to be functioning properly. And when the MSP or the service provider gets a phone call that says, hey, this TV's not working, what the hell does that mean, right? What does that mean to them? So we provide a tool that can show the whole chain, right, and say, look, this is the point of failure, power cycle it, or get in and manage it, right? Go do what you need to do. I brought that up as another feature. Here's one of the things that I think is beneficial. And I said, you caught me on the word need earlier, right? I think it's very important for service providers to look at where their business models are going, look at where Windows, Google, a lot of these companies, how they're aggregating data and services. Look at what Zoom is doing now even. Zoom is now starting to sell hardware as a service, right? Audio video systems as a service, and install that into people's networks. I think that a tool like Domotz, whether you take advantage of AVIC or Domotz or PRTG or Zavix or whatever, I think as a service provider, you need to be thinking about how you can leverage these types of tools that are looking at the quote unquote IoT systems and start generating revenue off of them. Right? Think about what that strategy means. Right? COVID has done some amazing things to, in fact, I just got off a virtual event through a group called NSCA. So much of the discussion was around how fast things have changed because of COVID and what it's done to varying industries. And being able to take advantage of tools like this to shift your business model, I think is important. And there are things you can do for your clients that actually makes your clients' businesses even better.
That's I didn't even realize Zoom was doing. uh, hardware as a service stuff. That's interesting to me.
Yeah.
Um, so as I peruse your list here, because I'm looking at your feature list.
Yeah.
Um, secure remote connection. And then it even mentions that you have proprietary client connections for things like Creston, Latron, Control 4, ELK, Leviton, yada, 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 yada,
Yeah.
yada.
Sure.
So I'm getting my brands mixed up because I don't have as many smart home products as I'd like to. Are one of those L1s that I just listed the light switch company?
So Lutron is a big light switch company that's well known. Leviton is another light switch company.
So they both
Let's
are theoretically.
Yeah, but Crestron, Control 4, Savant, right? A lot of these automation systems, whether they're commercial or residential, absolutely have lighting-based systems in them. Probably in a commercial environment where you're dealing with businesses, you deal with Legrand as well. They have different services, whether it's Vantage or Watt Stopper. So all of these lighting-based systems are typically controlled by um, a centralized processor, right? Think of it as a gateway, whether they're doing wired or wireless. But the reason we call them out and the reason that we talk about specific connectivity to those, Domotz has the ability to open up the necessary ports to communicate with their controllers because their controllers require special software to program those units. Right? If you wanted to change the ramp up time on a light switch, you need to use their software to program that. Domotz can allow an integrator to program those systems remotely using the Domotz cloud. So you're not opening up VPNs, you're not using, ports on the open network or the firewalls. We're using our secure transmissions over the network.
Now, to clarify, is Domotz the software also configuring the device, or do we still have to use our software, their software on our system and our network over the cloud to configure it?
You're effectively using Domotz as a secure tunnel.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're still using their third-party software.
Mm-hmm.
We're not building out a management interface for all these different companies. We
Okay.
don't want to do that, right? What we are is because they do it better, right? They know what their stuff is and what it does. We are essentially the cloud, the reverse SSH, the tunnel, whatever you want to say, to that device that allows that third-party software to go over our cloud.
Now, what about MSPs love Wattbox? Are you familiar with
Yeah,
that brand?
absolutely, absolutely. Power distribution units.
Yeah, so one of the things we love about Wattbox, and I'm sure there's other brands out there. I know Datto's got something like it, for example. We love that it's able to let us automate or manually flip off and flip back on some power outlets to reboot, network devices. So maybe we've got a watt box connected to a switch or a router just in case something goes wrong that we're not able to manage the switch or router through
Yep.
Domotz or through the device itself. We can then just power cycle the thing, or even modems. People love putting it on modems for those MSP clients that are still running, DSL or cable. They maybe don't have a dedicated fiber circuit. Yeah, we love being able to power cycle that modem because the last thing I want to do is walk, some office person through. All right, I need you
Yeah.
to go over to
Yeah.
the network rack. All right, now I need you to find the one that says Motorola. All right, now I need you to unplug the power from that because then they're going to be like, all right, now which one of these power cords? No, just from the back of it. All right, so I pushed the little prong in. No, that's the network connection. Like,
Yeah, and you're doing it all on FaceTime, right? Trying to watch. Okay, okay, here it is.
oh,
Yeah.
that's adorable. You think they know how to FaceTime?
He's so cute.
Um, my wife just texted me. I'm sorry. Um,
Is there anything I can say to help?
I don't know. A prayer.
Prayer. We can pray. Yeah.
All right, so I just checking to make sure she doesn't need in here. Because yay, hiding in the bedroom.
It has its advantages and its disadvantages.
All right, so talk to me about. I see it's also got like collaboration.
Well,
So how?
let's talk about PDUs for a minute,
Okay,
right? So
yeah.
Wattbox is amazing, right? They have done a stellar job of enabling the market with very um, low cost ability to turn on and off outlets in a remote fashion. I mentioned before our ability to power cycle PoE ports, right,
Hmm.
through managed switches. We do the exact same thing with PDUs. So whether it's Wattbox, Surgex, Panamax, Middle Atlantic, Raritan, right, digital loggers. I mean, we've on our website, we've got a plethora of manufacturers
Hmm.
in all different industries that we have written drivers for and we continuously update to make sure that whether you're using an advanced model like a Surge X system or you're using a very basic watt box, right? Even if you're using a oh my goodness, what are the single outlet Wemo single outlet devices on Amazon, right?
Yeah.
We can power those things, right?
Hmm.
I don't just like I don't recommend you using the ISP modem and router. Don't use a Wemo to control your modem, all right? But the reality is that we can power cycle those things in our user interface. A big advantage of Domotz, right? A big advantage is we have a very manufacturer agnostic approach to things. Network infrastructure, FOS, Fortinet, right? We've got the same UI, okay? Same with the wireless access points, but the PDUs are the same mantra, right? Regardless of what PDU you use, we're going to control it in the same way, and that's a big advantage.
I like it. So, all right. Uh, you don't recommend we use the Wemo in an enterprise environment. Fair.
Hope you
Um,
appreciate that. Yeah.
I do appreciate that. So what if in my enterprise environment I put the Asus gaming router with a Wemo to reboot it?
Let's just say you'll be doing service calls, truck rolls, as we say. So
No, your software can reboot them for me.
I can, but what you're going to find is you're going to be spending more time rebooting the damn thing than you want, and that truck roll will be to replace it with better gear.
Fair, fair. All right, so I started to say, and then I didn't realize we were going to talk about them. My apologies. Um, you have some sharing, like I think
Yeah.
it's called collaboration. So
Hmm.
we can share network devices or access through Domotz to trusted users, and these users can be like end users or business owners, where we're giving them access to specific devices or specific networks within our Domotz. Correct?
Yeah, it's essentially the network as a whole,
Okay.
right?
So we
So
can't say you have access to reboot my Wemo. You
no.
have to you have to give them access to the whole network.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The idea behind the collaboration tool is so you're a service provider, right? You're installing a network, but your particular customer, let's use Crestron, right? Let's say they have a boardroom that has some automation in it, building automation, and it's a nice conference room. Um, you own the network. You are the service provider that has Domotz. You're managing that network. You're solving all of their worldly problems.
But maybe I'm
But
not the one that's managing their
exactly,
automation
exactly.
stuff. So I'm
Right.
then going to give access to the service provider so that
To
way
the
they.
well, I would say to the integrator, right? You're the
That's who I
service
meant.
provider.
Yeah.
You're giving it to the integrator that did that boardroom, so that way he can remotely access that system, program the Crestron thing as needed, and then be on his way, right? You, as the owner, have the ability to add or revoke those rights as needed, right?
So let me ask you this. So you said I could give him access to the boardroom, right?
Hmm.
But wouldn't I have to give him access to the whole enterprise? Like, let's. I'm just gonna simplify and use company names everyone's heard of. All right. So McDonald's has a boardroom,
Yep.
but they've also got a warehouse and an office and executive suites, and they're all in the same building, and they're all in the same network. So when 1 second. All right. So when they're all in the same network, uh,
Well, you got to
how?
say hi to him for me.
No, no. So here's the beauty of this. I was able to switch to where it's only showing your camera. So I'm talking, but they're just looking at you. They don't even realize that she walked in here. So you see it, but nobody else does. Just like earlier
Yeah.
when I like yawned or wiped my eyes, like nobody sees that stuff but you.
So me calling this shit out is making it look bad. I apologize.
That's all right. It's all right. I figured it's been was it over an hour, so I might as well fill you in on what's happening here. So so all of these things are in the same network, right? So
Yeah.
how do I give that integrator access to just the boardroom without also giving them access to the whole, rack of network gear and the stuff in the CEO's office and whatever else?
Yeah, yeah. It's a great question there, Steve. And if you've got one Domotz agent that is going across all of these rooms, right? These network environments, if you give access to that integrator to that one agent, then you're exactly right. He's going to have visibility of those devices out there. Okay. If you're doing a situation like this where you're managing those networks, but you don't necessarily want to give that integrator VPN access that he has all the time, right? You can actually put a separate Domotz agent in that local network, right?
Okay.
That VLAN, and give him access that way. Now, I'm also going to say this, right? This is where you as a service provider, right, have a level of flexibility. It may be easier. It may be easier for you just to create a username and password that's unique that allows him to VPN into that network separately, as opposed to leveraging the Domotz service, right? The advantage that the integrator has in an environment, especially like Crestron or Savant, or where he's using tools to program those systems, by using Domotz, he gets this secure tunnel and he can actually keep his software. Um, he can keep his software on his PC, laptop, wherever he is in the world, and manage that environment right through Domotz. But it's up to you guys how you want to work with them in that situation.
I like it. So, what I will say is, you actually do have software that I think is worth looking at as an MSP. I think it gives MSPs some really cool flexibility. Um, I think that you might have some advantages over some of the other network monitoring and management tools. I know that you don't necessarily have the name recognition, but hey, let's be honest, man. I like to think I tell it how it is. I had a PC Matic. Are you familiar with that company?
Yeah. Yep.
I had them on twice now. The last time was a demo. The time before that, I had uh, dozens of video comments from trolls live. So I'm like, it was great because I had a bunch of comments with questions or negative comments or whatever, and we were able to just sit here and address kind of the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Today, we didn't have as many trolls, which tells me that you guys don't have the like negative reputation that PCmatic has. And I'm saying that because not because they have like junk software, okay? I think
Yeah.
they did a fantastic job at proving they have a really great whitelisting security application to, let MSPs provide some solid security to their clients. But it was really cool, just letting people, call, hey, you guys look like malware, and we always tell our customers don't install things that you see on TV because it's
Right.
junk. And then the next thing you know, we've got people and stuff. Well, no, no. So that was cool. So the cool thing is they had that clout, and it was almost like they say, what do they say? No, all publicity is good publicity, or something like that, or there's no
Sure.
such thing as bad
Such
publicity.
thing as bad publicity. Yeah.
Uh, so it was kind of like that, to where people knew the name. So people knew, like, they'd never used it, they just hated it because reasons.
Yeah.
So
Right.
so I was kind of in that same boat with Domotz, because the first time I looked at you guys, the guys telling me, "Oh yeah, we can do all this stuff, with Leviton and Creston, and hey, if you got a DRAM receiver." I'm like, "Dude, I work on servers. Like, get out of here. Go away."
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
so it's refreshing to have this conversation with you, JB, because I learned some really cool stuff about Domotz, and I want to go over some security things real quick.
Sure.
So as we mentioned, we've got the collaboration thing. So this is the dashboard's like a global thing, right? So I can log into one, and all of my clients with all of the agents are accessible to me, the MSP, with one login. I can just get to everything there, right?
Yes.
Multi-tenant.
It's a very multi-tenant view.
And it has teams. I can have my team members in here. So there's multi-user access. Can I say a
Yep.
team member only has access to clients X, Y, and Z?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you can do that. Yep.
And
So if
then,
you have special customers that you don't want all team members to have access to, but maybe only the top tier team or whatever, yes, you can
yeah.
do that.
Or maybe we do things in like pod structure, where I only want this team to access
Yes.
these 10, and that team to access those 10, right? Whatever, right? So it's nice that we have the ability to lock things down like that. And then you've got the collaboration, where we could give integrators or end users, or building owners, or whatever, access to their specific network. And in theory, if we had a great partnership with an integrator could be a collaborator similar to a team member, right? Where I could give them access to multiple networks.
You can. And actually, one thing that we haven't talked about, we call it our advanced hierarchy structure. It actually allows you to, let's say you're a service provider. We'll go back to your McDonald's, right?
Mm-hmm.
McDonald's is a large corporation, but they're a franchisee, right?
Very true.
Franchisor. They're a franchisor, and they
And
sell
they,
to
and they have a bunch of
franchisees.
franchisees. There's probably 3 franchisees within an hour of me.
Exactly, right? And usually those franchisees own multiple stores.
Absolutely.
So Domotz has a structure in place that you as a service provider can be in this, think of it as a corporate structure, where you can manage multiple teams, okay? And then those teams, the teams is kind of the nomenclature we use, but imagine you've got the Burger King franchisee that has 5 stores, and you've got the McDonald's franchisee that has 10 stores. You actually can put a Domotz agent at each one of those stores, monitoring the network, monitoring security, monitoring point of sale systems, the digital signage, all that stuff. You can give access to the franchisee's manager, IT department, whatever, and they can only see the stores that they care about, right? The 5 or 10 stores that they own. You have the ability to not only see all the McDonald's franchisee stores, but also all of the Burger King franchisee stores. The
As a
benefit
service provider, sure,
as
yeah.
a service provider, exactly. So not only do they have access to get alerts on when the point of sale system goes down or when the digital signage system goes down, but you have access to make sure their network is working properly. This is actually a very powerful feature within Domotz. And we don't publicly advertise this because a lot of service providers really just need to have their devices, their
Sure.
10, 50, 100 sites that they manage. But this is a powerful way to resell the Domo service to these to your customers if needed.
Awesome. I like that. That is really cool. You also, I see, have two-factor authentication, as I think every company should at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we're right now the 2FA. We leave it to the service provider to determine whether they implement it or not. But I hope it. I hope I don't need to say this, but if you're not leveraging 2FA, you're putting your company at risk. You're putting your clients at risk. Enable it, right? In the near future, we're going to just simply enable it for everybody
Good.
all the time. We're also, speaking of this, single sign-on, right? SAML, right? SSO, critical part for a lot of these service providers. While we don't have that advertised here, right? We're enabling that as well.
Awesome.
So you'll see that in very near future being publicly available.
Very cool. So, yeah, and I'll say this, Synchro, they forced 2FA. So
hmm
kudos to Ian and the team over at Synchro. Thank you for that.
Can I make a little bit of a shout out here real
Yeah,
quick?
yeah, go for it.
Speaking of Synchro, today we just released our integration with Synchro's PSA tool. So I'm super excited to add that to our certified integrations package, right? So this
Mm-hmm.
is a package that we are basically ConnectWise, Datto, Synchro. You'll see others that come into this package, but it's what enables the solid integration. We have it as a certified because we validate, test it. Any updates that go on their side versus our side get dealt with
That's
rapidly.
fantastic.
So, yeah, we're excited about that.
So speaking of Datto, do you do anything with Datto's networking gear? Any
So yes,
monitoring
we
stuff?
do.
Okay.
We do. Well, from a networking gear, right? Networking gear is kind of interesting. Just to talk about managed switches for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, RFC 4188, it's a standard that's been around that allows, through SNMP, allows us to validate ports, MAC addresses. A lot of the information, the mapping and understanding of which devices are connected where, comes through that protocol. We implement that. So as long as a managed switch has that, we will map the network through them. When it comes to things like power, PoE, being able to power cycle ports, every switch does it differently.
Mm.
We do have drivers in place for Dattos to be able to do those things, okay, along with, again, I'm going to use the word plethora, but many other providers as well, or vendor switches as well.
Someone's at my front door.
Is it
Yay!
from your Ring doorbell?
It is for my Ring doorbell. Could you tell?
I've got one.
Did you do you support Ring doorbells?
I love it. I'm fascinated by the whole front door camera technology. How they took a very, very basic technology, right? A $3 device, right? A push button device that rang your doorbell, that forced you to get up, and you never knew if somebody was at your door if you weren't at your house, right? And they integrated networking and again, I go back to the words IoT, right? They turned it into an IoT system that has just revolutionized how we do business, right? How we deal with our own personal lives, right?
So it was someone for my son, and my son's not home, so I just watched him as he just stood there waiting for someone to open the door. Like, you guys are gonna come say hi to me, right?
Yeah,
He left.
yeah. The nice thing about Ring doorbells too is you can give people shit, right? If
Huh?
if you if you see that it's the somebody selling you pest control service, or here I am in Utah, and if it may be the Mormons coming to the door, right? I can start to talk to them, right, from outside, and just tell them how I don't want this or that, or don't need it, and
I was wondering how
it's
long
fine.
it was going to be before the Mormons came up.
Well, I am in the heart of Salt Lake City, right?
Yeah.
So,
So how many Mormons do you know?
well, I can't say all of them because I don't know all of them, but I know I'm surrounded by a lot. Yeah,
How many work with you at Domotz?
two, two actually,
Okay.
two out of. So we have roughly 30 something employees, and I know of two that
Okay.
are.
So about an
But keep in
hour.
keep in mind, let me clarify. We're a worldwide team, right? Actually,
Oh.
20 of our employees are based in Italy. That's where we do a lot of our development. We've got three others in Bulgaria.
So
So
the ones in Italy are probably Catholic. I mean,
most likely, yes.
all right. So about an hour and a half south of me is Amish country.
Oh yeah,
So because that's a big thing here in the
yeah,
and I just love that Ohio is considered Midwest, even
yeah,
though we're in the eastern half of the United States. Like
yeah,
so, but yeah, here in Ohio, about an hour and a half ish south, and it's a big area too. And
yeah,
one of our favorite wineries is in Amish country, and this year we didn't get to go because thanks COVID. They
yeah.
have they have this. It's called the Dandelion Festival, and again, guys, married to a woman. Okay, so
You're gonna put a dandelion next to your bear in your corner next time, right?
stop. All right, so no, this Dandelion Festival is really cool. They'll make like dandelion wine, and it's like crazy sweet wine. My wife loves the wine, but
Yeah,
then there's all kinds of like vendors there selling like they'll have they'll use the greens from the dandelion to
yeah,
like a spice or an herb or whatever you want to call it. So like
right.
they'll have like dandelion Italian sausages
Oh,
or brats or whatever, and then they'll have dandelion mashed potatoes, and like there's dandelion everything, man. It's everywhere, and we just have a good time. We go down there, and you're at the winery, and it's 25 cents, and you can get a sample.
yeah.
So yeah, 25 cents you can get a sample of wine. So for just a couple bucks, you can do 8 shots of wine, and let me tell you, shots of wine are a good way to get wasted real quick.
Yeah, yeah. I can imagine that. That's yeah, yeah. Not a good idea. I have to say, so it surprises me to hear that there's some good wine in Amish country. I have to tell you, although I'm in Mormon country here with the LDS Church, some of the best beer and some of the best vodka I've had, and whiskeys as well, are made right local to Salt Lake City. Right, Park City,
Interesting.
Utah has some the High West whiskey. I love that stuff. Great stuff. Some of the beers like Uinta Brewing and Wasatch Brewing, man, good stuff.
Really cool. So, I know we talked about, possibly like sharing your screen, but honestly, I feel like we should almost be wrapping up at this point.
We have been talking for quite a while, haven't we?
We have.
Let me point out from a demo perspective, we've got a 21-day free trial. We've
Oh,
got a demo online. Now, you're not going to get things like the camera shots and stuff like that because of the way the demo works, but do a trial, right? Download it, put it on your house, right? And see what you have. If you have cameras, right, you'll be able to. They have to be professional on-viv based cameras in order to see the snapshots. You're not going to see a snapshot from Ring. You're not going to see it from Arlo or the Netgear solutions just because they don't follow standard protocols. But try it out, right? It's an awesome service.
so I may actually, as I try and figure out what the frick is going wrong with my home networking, so So you have a Mac OS agent, right?
We do not have a Mac OS agent. Dang. You can. Macs are easy enough though to spin up a virtual machine if you
I
want to
know.
go that path. But
And did I hear you correctly that you can actually buy a Domotz box at Best Buy?
Amazon.
Amazon.
Am-
Okay.
yeah,
I don't
Amazon.
know why I thought you said Best Buy.
Well, so Best Buy,
I know they're the customer.
yeah,
I just,
exactly.
I don't know. I'm losing my mind. So you can actually, when you click on the buy it on Amazon link, it takes you to or I'm sorry, when you click the buy a Domotz box link from the Domotz website, it takes you to Amazon. Now, here's I'm gonna ask the tough question because I'm the guy that would do
Oh.
this. Is it an affiliate link?
No, it's straight to us. It's our store. What do you mean? Maybe I don't understand what you mean by affiliate.
So I don't know how Domotz store stuff works on Amazon because like whenever I buy something on Amazon, it's like ships and sold from Amazon, and then I can send somebody a referral link or an affiliate link to things on Amazon, and then if they buy something on Amazon in the next week or two, then I get a little here's 12 cents. Thanks Amazon,
Yay.
like so.
So we don't have affiliate links, right? So when somebody clicks on that, right, in our application, I mean, I've got like my little warehouse of goods here, right, that we ship to Amazon, a couple hundred boxes a month, right? So that when people buy it, right, it ships and sold from the Amazon that's local to them. So that's how
Well,
we
I do see it ships from Amazon and it's sold by Domotz Inc. So
right.
Best Buy will not price match because it doesn't ship and sell by Amazon.
Yeah, well,
I've got jokes. I'm sorry. I'm just
yeah,
trying
yeah,
to turn
you're
this into a joke.
yeah.
So yeah, fun one for you guys. Just in case you forgot, Best Buy price matches. When you go to a Best Buy, they'll price match only. They'll price match Amazon only if it says ships from Amazon, sold by Amazon.
Really?
Yes, so it has to be shipped
Interesting.
and sold by Amazon.
Is
But
that something new
no, it's
that
been
they
that way for at least a couple years.
okay. I don't know that I've noticed that. I mean, I ended up pricing it
Sometimes they
one.
just don't care.
Yeah, well, exactly.
But because let's be honest. I mean, they're an employee. They're not commission. They're just gonna hit the button and yeah, sure, no problem.
Right.
But others are very like, well, it's gotta say ships and sold from Amazon. I'm like, all right, it does. Here, I'll show you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Okay.
you just
Hey,
take the screenshot of one product and then you put you just mix the screenshots together and then
Steve, Steve, yeah, that's a good idea. Can I bring up a totally random subject?
yeah.
Speaking of online buying, are you familiar with graphics cards right now, PCs?
Like I don't game, so I couldn't tell you a specific card, but
So,
I can wing it if you want to talk.
yeah, let's wing it for a minute,
Okay.
okay? NVIDIA came out with their 30 series of
Okay.
graphics cards recently, right? So amazing, actually amazing technology, more than 2x the performance. I only know this because my younger son is kind of into gaming and we're starting to look at stuff and we've built a new PC. And so I said, hey, let's hold off on this, a new graphics card until these NVIDIAs come out. The NVIDIA 3070, NVIDIA 3080, and NVIDIA 3090 are the ones that have been released, and just amazing reviews on these things.
Yeah.
The 3080 was supposed to be, well, it was released a few days ago, maybe last week, and it sold out immediately, right? The stores, Newegg, Amazon, Best Buy, the NVIDIA store itself, Asus stores, like bots, right? Took advantage of the fact of buying online and like people were getting these cards and now you just can't find them
Well,
except on
I gotta
eBay.
say, the 3090 has uh almost a couple thousand more CUDA cores. The clock speed's the same, but it has more than twice the memory. You should
Oh
just
yeah.
get the 3090.
Yeah, well,
It has more than
this,
twice the memory of the 3080.
yeah, oh, I know, and they did it because it has 8K capability, which is honestly it's amazing, right?
Have
But
you ever seen any of the? I know Dell. I don't remember if it's a 6K or an 8K, but Dell has a monitor. And I was talking to a colleague of mine. He's got he's supporting a couple companies that they do some type of post production work,
sure,
and they like to make sure that they do everything right now. They do everything at 6K, and
okay,
and he's like, I don't even understand why they do this because they can only get like a 4K or 5K monitor. I said, no, no, no. Dell
yeah.
has, and I showed him this Dell monitor, and I'm like, but the price is ridiculous. And he said, it doesn't matter. They'll pay it.
It's the
So,
price of technology. Yeah.
so I'm pretty sure he sold them like 30 of these Dell monitors, and he,
Wow. He made
yeah,
some good money.
uh,
The you, we're in a situation again, being in the AV industry, right? I watch this closely. The you've got this little dichotomy going on where the manufacturers of TVs, right? LG, Samsung are the big ones, but all the other ones too, right? Sony, they're starting to release these 8K monitors when there's really not 8K content,
mm-hmm.
right? But you hear things just like you're saying where post-production studios are starting to deal with it, right? They're buying the cameras, they're buying the monitors, the Adobe software to be able to process these things. So it's coming, right? It'll be there.
And I don't even care if there's 8K content. I want I want the screen real estate.
Sure.
That's
Sure.
where
Yeah.
I'm at. Like I'm the kind of guy where like I would be happy to have, 6 windows tiled across my screen if I felt like they fit correctly, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
you
No,
know,
it totally makes sense. Yeah.
so like right now, and I feel like I'm grossly overdue for a monitor upgrade. So I've got my MacBook Pro that's down here. It's a 15-inch MacBook Pro 2018,
Yeah.
32 gigs of RAM.
Huh.
Just a little cheap MacBook Pro, right? So that's connected to a 34-inch ultra wide here.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So I'm actually doing dual screen, and it looks ridiculous having a 15-inch screen and a 34-inch screen. But the reason I do that is because sometimes I just want to put like Slack or email or just something
Oh,
simple
yeah.
down on the tiny screen. I don't need 34 inches of Slack. And then I've got you're a Mac user, right?
Yep.
I use an app called Magnet. And Magnet allows me, thanks to me using this ultra wide screen, I do Control, Option, and left and right. And it's similar to Windows Snap, where you can do the Windows key left, right, up,
Yeah.
down, where it
Yeah.
where it'll like shift the window, and it'll do like half screen. Well, that's
Oh,
what Control Option left right does for me. Half screen this way, and I'll click another window and half screen that way, and then because it's an ultra wide, it's like having two old school 4x3 screens side by side.
interesting.
Yeah, it's
That's
it's
actually
really
good.
it's really nice. Ultra wide is, what is it, 24 by 9 instead of 16 by 9, something like that. So it ends up being
20, well, I don't know. I thought it was 21 by 9, but
21
maybe.
by 9. That's it.
Yeah. I have in my setup, not here because I came in our room to get away from the noise, but I've got two 28-inch monitors that I go through a dock right through DisplayPort into my MacBook, and I love having the three monitors. The problem that I have with the Mac is the Mac OS tries to do some intelligence where they say, okay, display 2 has this type of content, display 3 has that type of content. And when you inherently undock, go do your thing, and then come back and redock, it seems like the monitors swap on me. And I can switch the cables, I can play around with stuff. It's just a nightmare. I don't know why
I
Mac doesn't allow you to lock it.
I used to have that problem, I'm on Mac OS Catalina 10.15.
Hmm.
Soon-ish, I'll upgrade to Big Sur once I verify that all my apps will work on it.
Yeah.
Um, I'm the kind of guy where my iPad, my iPhone, my watch, they're all running bleeding edge Mac OS developer beta.
Yeah.
But but uh, but on my computer, as much as I want to be running Big Sur and have all the latest features, I can't. It
No, that's
breaks
your business. That's your
it
business. You
breaks
got to.
too much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah, 8K, 32-inch, 8K. I don't even know what that makes the pixels per inch ratio, but I mean 30. Like I feel like 32 inch is the smallest 4K I could handle.
Right.
Like whenever I get my monitor with bigger real estate, I don't know what I'm gonna get. I might end up having to get like I think Dell's got they've got a 49-inch ultra wide. There's a few companies out right now where they've got like I don't know what they're calling it, ultra wide, where it's mega ultra. I don't know, but it's this one here. It's a 49-inch dual QHD. It's the equivalent of having two 27-inch dual QHD monitors without the bezel. So it's even wider. It's 32 by 9.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I would get something like that, but I would need it to be like the equivalent of it's 5120 by 1440. That's not bad. Like I'm running 3440 by whatever, right? So I think I'd be happy with that, but I don't know, man. Like I feel like I'd be happier if I could just go out and get two 4K screens.
Yeah. 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 I'm with you. I'm with you on that.
But I hate bezels, which is why I just run an ultra wide.
Yeah.
And I don't think, as of right now, 5K is the biggest you can do on this MacBook Pro.
Some of the you mentioning bezels reminded me. Some of the manufacturers, Sony, Samsung, right? These big guys that go to these audio video shows and custom integration shows are showing these tile-based televisions. So you buy a tile that's roughly 8 inches by 8 inches, and you piece these things together. And of course, there's intelligence and controllers behind it, but you can create custom displays. And it's just a matter of time before that comes down to a consumer level, where if you want to create a 16 by 9 screen now, but then you want to add a few more tiles a few months later to create a 21 by 9 or whatever ratio you need, it's going to be there. It's awesome.
Well, one of the things I also do support for a church, my church that I go to. So one of the things we would love to get is it's called an LED wall.
Yeah.
So if you know anyone with 120 grand laying around that they'd love to donate
So
to a good church, um,
send them your way.
send send them my way.
Those LED walls are based on those tiles that I'm talking
They are.
about.
It's
Yeah.
mosaicneo.org, just in case any of you watching are feeling generous. So, um, so yeah, those things are so cool, man. I would love to get one of those, just to play with. Well, I
Yeah.
don't even need a big one, like just maybe like 5 feet wide here at home.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So,
Well,
JB,
good.
thank you so much for doing this with me today, JB. This was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about what you guys have to offer, and I really appreciate it.
No, thank you for the opportunity. I mean, at some
Yeah,
point, let's actually get together at some point and do a demonstration of what we're doing with all the integration and all these capabilities. I mean, why not?
yeah, absolutely. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, definitely get on. And for you, right, get on, try it, right, download the agent or buy the agent on Amazon, and you'll be amazed at what you see.
And
So thank you.
I'm gonna go fix my network.
Do it. We've got some. We actually have some good diagnostic tools in there to do that, right? Looking at latency and all this other stuff. So you'll see the power of it once you use it.
Will you be able to tell me where to put the hole in the walls so I can get the best
Yes.
service and
Yeah.
reception?
So the Wi-Fi funnels through that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll do
All
that.
right. JB, thanks so much for hopping on here and do this with me. I really appreciate it. For those of you watching, check out Domotz, DOMOTZ.com, and you can sign up for a free trial. I'm sure they've got plenty of screenshots and plenty of features and all that for you to see if it's even worth the free trial, right? But I think it's worth checking out, guys. So cool. Thanks so much. You all have yourselves a great day. We'll see you at the next podcast episode.